The sun dipped low in the heart of Tanzania's Mikumi National Park, where a solitary lion lay trapped. His powerful frame was diminished under the weight of despair. 3 years had passed since he had unwittingly wandered into a poacher's snare, a nearly invisible prison of twisted wire that tightened mercilessly around his neck, a brutal reminder of mankind's greed. What began as a mere misstep had spiraled into a tale of survival. Join us in the unusual for more gripping stories. The lion's once majestic mane hung limp, and the fire that once lit his golden eyes was fading. He had battled the elements, hunger gnawing at his insides, yet not as painfully as the sharp edge of the wire buried deep in his flesh. Each day, as he limped through the underbrush, he accepted the hard reality of his existence. Scavenging for food was a struggle, one that chipped away at his spirit. He had once been the embodiment of power, but now he was just a shadow of a king. Deep within the jungle, life thrived in a delicate balance of predator and prey. But for this lion, the balance was tipped. It took all his strength to avoid capture by the poachers lurking within the confines of the park. Their presence sent shivers through the wild, and the lion, once fearless, became hyper-aware of every snap of a twig and every rustle of the grass. The jungle that had been his home now felt like a merciless maze, an echo chamber of his anguish. Faint glimpses of his pride often filled him with bittersweet longing. They could not help him, and he could not reach them. Meanwhile, an awareness of the lion's suffering spread beyond the rusty boundaries of his world. Amongst the nearby villages, tales of the trapped lion began to take root, a majestic creature ensnared in cruelty. Local villagers, hunters, farmers, and lovers of the wild shared hushed conversations about the lion, each story tinged with concern. Many were stirred by guilt. They were hunters, too, and though their prey held little resemblance to the noble lion, the burden weighed heavily on their hearts. One man in particular, James Hartley, a British photographer and wildlife enthusiast, became entranced by the story swirling like dust in the winds of the savannah. With an unwavering passion for conservation, he found himself restless, longing to bridge the gap between humanity's darker moments and nature's rugged beauty. As the tales spread, he packed his gear and set off into the wilderness, determined to uncover the truth behind this lion's tragic existence. As James traversed the park, every step resonated with a sense of purpose. He yearned to document the plight of the lion, to evoke the empathy of others through the lens of his camera. His heart raced at the thought of capturing the essence of this magnificent creature, a king brought low. But he also felt the weight of an incredible responsibility. This lion's story was a myriad of pain, fear, and hope waiting to unfold. Then, one fateful afternoon, James stumbled upon a chilling scene, a shadow beneath an ancient acacia tree holding steadfast through the seasons. At first glance, he saw not a beast but a broken soul, an echo of life dwindling in the harsh grips of despair. The lion lay ensnared, the wire biting viciously at his neck, the remnants of his royalty lost within the madness of survival. James froze, his heart racing, a mixture of anguish and determination surging through him. The lion's eyes reflected a blend of fear and resignation, an ancient wisdom clashing with present threats. James stepped closer, his breath caught in his throat. "I'm here, I won't hurt you," he whispered, though he knew his words were meant more for himself than for the lion. The creature's instincts kicked in, and a deep growl vibrated from its chest, reverberating through the forest. A warning, a plea, and yet it resonated with something tangible in James's heart. The moment was heavy, the air charged with unspoken emotions. James understood. This lion, once the epitome of power, was now reduced to a testament of suffering. With the lion's ferocity on full display, James hesitated. He was merely a man, an intruder in this wild realm of the king. And yet, it was this very king who needed his help. Time was slipping. The longer the lion remained trapped, the more dire his condition became. The wire would fester, cutting deeper, introducing harmful bacteria into the wound, and the lion's spirit threatened to extinguish. Just stay with me, he pleaded, his voice a mere whisper against the haunting growls that echoed around them. He crouched low, willing to earn the lion's trust, even if just for a moment. The lion's muscles quivered as he shifted nervously, flicking his ears back in agitation. In the jungle, he had learned to trust none, yet something in James's steady gaze held him captive. Realizing he needed reinforcements, James quickly dialed the rescue center, urgency threading through every word. "There's a lion. You have to come quickly. He's trapped and he's suffering. I can give you my location. Please, he might not last much longer." As he ended the call, James glanced back at the lion. The beast was still watching him. Each time their eyes met, he felt a connection, a shared pain, a quiet understanding that spoke of resilience. He couldn't turn away now. The jungle seemed to hold its breath as the waiting began, every minute feeling like an eternity. Suddenly, the sound of rustling leaves intruded upon their fragile moment. James turned sharply, adrenaline spiking through his veins as he anticipated the arrival of help. But a new threat emerged. The lion's growl grew deeper, an ominous sound that vibrated through the air as his instincts warned him of approaching danger. James followed the lion's wary gaze to a dark shape lurking in the underbrush. There it was, the unmistakable silhouette of a poacher moving stealthily through the trees, predatory eyes searching for prey. Anger ignited within James, a torrent of emotions churning so violently that he barely contained his rage. Who would take advantage of this noble creature in its moment of helplessness? Desperation surged through him. He needed to protect the lion. Drawing on instincts of his own, James shifted his body between the lion and the impending threat. "Hey, you!" he shouted, his voice breaking with urgency, trying to divert the poacher's attention. "Get away from here!" The poacher froze, eyes narrowing as he assessed the situation. But before the confrontation could escalate, James stood resolute, knowing he would trade every ounce of his being to protect the lion's life. Meanwhile, the lion sensed the tension, the muscles in his body coiling tight, energy surging through him as he prepared to fight or flee. Then came the sound of engines in the distance. The sharp whir of vehicle tires on dirt brought assurance that help was near. The poacher glanced nervously over his shoulder. In one swift motion, he turned and melted back into the shadows, leaving James and the lion in a tense, uncertain standoff. As the rescue vehicle finally appeared, thick dust clouded the air. The lion appeared at odds, fear and mistrust wrestling with the spark of hope ignited by James's presence. The team of veterinarians sprang into action, their hearts racing with adrenaline, eyes locked onto the lion. Each movement mirrored the urgency of the moment. "Be steady," James murmured. "Help is here." The lion, still wary, fixed a watchful gaze on the newcomers as they approached, equipped with tranquilizers and tools, forming a protective circle. They worked quickly, their professionalism evident. The tranquilizer dart soared through the air, hitting the lion's neck with a soft thud. The lion's body reacted, a faint roar echoing through the trees as he felt the sedative take hold. James held his breath, watching with wide eyes, praying that they would succeed in time. The lion stumbled, collapsing onto the ground with a heavy thud, surrendering to the darkness that would grant him a brief respite from suffering. Once the lion was secured, the team began their work. As they removed the wire, they discovered the full extent of the damage. The skin was infected, a gaping wound, a testament to his unyielding struggle for survival. Relief intermingled with sorrow as they treated his injuries with precision, while James observed with a heavy heart, knowing how close he had come to losing this magnificent creature. For 3 months, the lion remained in rehabilitation, slowly regaining strength under the watchful eyes of the dedicated veterinarians. Each passing day revealed a flicker of his former glory, a glint of tenacity shining through the veil of pain. During these visits, James developed a bond with the lion that transcended their species. He spoke to him softly, shared stories of the world beyond the jungle, and offered gentle encouragement. Each time he entered the recovery room, he could see a spark of recognition in the lion's eyes, an acknowledgement of trust wavering between them. Finally, the day arrived when the lion was ready to return to his pride. As the team loaded him into the transport truck, a sense of hope filled the air. Yet the jungle still held uncertainty. A ruthless threat remained in the form of poachers on the prowl. With a renewed sense of purpose, James knew he couldn't abandon the fight for wildlife. As the sun dipped below the horizon, James dedicated himself to raising awareness of poaching and human-wildlife conflict. Bonding with local villagers, he shared the story of the lion, an emblem of resilience echoing through the grasslands. The community rallied around the cause, embracing the ethos of coexistence, understanding that saving this lion meant saving a piece of their shared legacy. Within weeks, the Sante Project, Sustainable Alliance for Nature's Animals, was born, a grassroots movement uniting conservation and locals alike. Together, they raised funds and awareness to protect the treasures of Mikumi National Park and build relationships steeped in respect, educating the community on protecting their natural heritage while developing sustainable practices to thrive without relying on poachers. As James reflected on the journey, the lion emerged as more than a story of survival. He had become a symbol of hope, resilience, and the powerful connection between humans and the wild. Each time the sun graced the horizon, illuminating the park in a golden hue, James marveled at the beauty of flame in the wilderness, a reminder that even in the darkest times, change is possible. With the lion now back in the embrace of his pride, the jungle whispered a tale of victory and survival. The path ahead would undoubtedly be fraught with challenges, yet the spirit of the lion echoed through the leaves, standing as a testament that the bond of trust between beings, human and animal alike, can shine as a guiding light, illuminating the darkness with renewed hope. The days would come when poachers still roamed the depths of the park, but now the stories of the lion were woven into the fabric of the community. Heroes rose to defend nature, hands reaching out to protect what was once thought lost. Together, they stood united against the tides of destruction, ensuring that the majesty of the jungle, alongside the legacy of the lion, would endure. And in the distance, roaring majestically, the lion reclaimed his throne, a symbol of a brighter tomorrow for all who called the wild their home.